Hey everybody, my name is Rebecca, and I had a lot of people wondering how I got into triathlon and my story with triathlon because I was nominated for a challenge, and you guys saw like an incredibly weird picture, right? Not weird, but just not a picture that you see from me now. So there was a lot of question on how I got into triathlon, and really kind of wanted to know what my story was. So here is my story, and just an FYI, you might hear kids or a husband that don't know that I'm doing this right now and trying to be quiet for it. So anyway, just if we get interrupted, it's just my life, and that's part of my workouts get interrupted, and that's just how life goes. So all right, so give you a little bit of background first. When I was a young kid at age 5, I started on a swim team, and I loved it, and I did it for several years. Man, I think, so we moved from the town in Kansas to Texas for my dad's job when I was 14. So I did swim team for 8-9 years, something like that. It's an incredible thing, and if you have kids, young kids especially, if you can get them into it, like, it's amazing, and it will stay with them. I mean, you can lose some of it, but it will stay with them for the most part. So I did swim team as a young kid, but then whenever we moved to Texas, I got out of it. It wasn't the same, and I didn't really like it. Looking back now, I wish I would have stayed with it and maybe gone to college and done it or something. That would have been fun. But then I ran cross country in high school. I ran track 2 out of my 4 years of high school. I liked cross country. I liked not having to go around this little circle continuously like track does. And so, and I also probably did it to get out of school because, you know, you had to go to meets and stuff. So I did that, and then I took a hiatus from it all. I didn't do anything for a long time. I went off to college. I moved to Arizona. I was not in shape to do anything. And, you know, of course, I turned like 21 and started to party, and yeah, just life was a lot different. And then I met who's my husband now, and we just from the very beginning, we were very competitive with each other. You know, just whatever, if we were playing basketball or whatever we were doing. And he was into mountain bike racing, and so he had a long history of doing mountain bike racing, and he started doing it when he moved to Arizona also. So he kind of got me involved. I never raced a mountain bike. I have a mountain bike, and I've done a couple trails, but I am not about, I'm super competitive, but if I get on a mountain bike course and there's something that I don't like going down, I am not going to go down. So I will get off my bike and I will walk, and I'm fine with that. So I've never raced mountain bikes, but he did. And he got me into just that whole realm of biking, right? And then one day, one of us said to the other one, hey, if I run a half marathon, will you do it with me? We both think that the other one did it, so it's really hard to say who did it and who didn't. But that sparked an interest, and we started very slowly training for it, not really doing much at all. And so just, what, Julian? Sorry, just a second. What? Come on. Just go. Yeah, it's fine. Go, please. Yes, that's fine. Thank you. Okay. All right, so triathlon, or half marathon. So we did a couple 5Ks, we did a couple 10Ks. I mean, there was not training in this at all, and it was, I mean, there was like going out and partying the night before a race, kind of wonderful stuff. The very first half marathon that we did, like after the race, that whole day, and numerous days after, so incredibly sore. And I didn't even run it all. I walked some of it. And I had blood. I remember I had blood on my socks. My socks were soaked in blood because I had done a rookie mistake and I used brand new shoes the day of the race. And so, yeah, that wasn't a good call. So massive learning, right? Like everybody has learning curves, and that was a big learning curve for me. So fast forward a little bit, we were like, hey, that was kind of fun. Like this is neat. I enjoy doing this together, and it works out well with us. And we stopped partying so much. Not that our training got any better, but I mean, it did because we weren't partying. And then Blake ran a full marathon one year, and I still just did the half in Phoenix. And then I said, okay, I wanted to try to get back into, or to try to get into triathlon. He got me, a little bit of the fever with the bike, and so I was like, well, I can swim. Like I swam as a kid. I can swim no problem, and I can run. I'm sure I can ride a bike. That's the easy part, right? So I signed up for a sprint try in Casa Grande, and I did it, and it was horrible. It was painful. It was brutal. And I remember this 38-week pregnant lady just like passing me on the run, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, this is just crazy. It blew my mind. But it was awesome because she sparked more of a interest in me. So then I had decided that I was going to do a Olympic distance. And to give you a little bit of perspective on my times back then, this was in 2010. I did the Tempe International, and it took me 3 hours and 3 minutes to do. So, like, looking at that now, I did try Waco this year, and it took me 2 hours and 13 minutes. So almost like 50 minutes faster from 2010 to 2020, or 2019, sorry. So anyway, just a small little perspective there. After I did the one in Tempe, I said, hey, I want to do I want to do a half Ironman. I would like to see what this is like. And so I started training because they have Arizona 70.3 goes about a month or two before Ironman Arizona. At least it did back then. It may have changed now. And so I started training for it. I started like really riding my bike and started running more and swimming, and it wasn't like nothing like the training that I do right now, because I was actually going to school as a student back then, and Blake and I had got married, and yeah, lots of different things. And okay, so I was training for this triathlon, this half Ironman, and then I had something major come up because the race got canceled because the dam broke and the water all went out, and there was no water to swim in Tempe Town Lake, and they had to fix it because Ironman Arizona was coming in the next couple of months. So they had to get rid of the half that I was going to be doing. So at that point, I switched my training. I had about 2 months. Hold on. Please just hold on 1 second, bud. I switched my training from triathlon training to full marathon training, and I had like two months, maybe 3, and we were gonna go do rock and roll full marathon in Las Vegas. This is back when you still do it in the daylight and in the morning time, but it was a lot of fun because you run the strip. So I changed all my training, and it was the first full marathon I'd ever done, and I was, it was incredible. And I remember my mom flew in and met us in Phoenix, in Las Vegas for this race, because this was a big deal to me. And she was at numerous different places on the course, just cheering us on and giving us support if we needed anything. And it was awesome. That marathon took me 4.5 hours to do. And so, yes, I had trained for it, and 4.5 hours for a marathon is a great time. That's awesome. But why I'm hesitant to say that is because when I look at what I've accomplished since I've been training hard, when I did Ironman Arizona, my marathon time for the full Ironman was 3 hours and 43 minutes. So it was almost an hour cut off, and I biked 112 miles and I swam 2.4 miles before I did that one. So it's very mind-blowing to me. So that's kind of how all that started. I remember as soon as I finished that full marathon, I told Blake, I said, I don't ever want to do another full marathon unless it is with an Ironman. And I still feel the exact same way. I don't want to do another full marathon on its own. But I don't mind doing it with an Ironman. So, speed things up here. We moved to Texas. We decided to start having kids. Life got real crazy, and everything fell apart for running for me. For triathlon. Running still kept going. I walked a lot when I was pregnant, and even did a couple races, but triathlon totally went away. I was done, with it. It was a different season in my life. When Blake and I lived in Phoenix, we were part of a team called FCA Endurance, and it was an amazing team. I'm just going to tell you right now, first and foremost, God has a plan for me, and it's amazing. I'll get to that, but this is God's plan for me, and to feel purpose in life, and to feel like this is how He's called me to be. Words can't explain. So anyway, I'll gather myself, I promise. So we moved to Texas, and there was no FCA Endurance here in Texas. We knew that when we started to have kids, we wanted to still be active, and we wanted them to be around that type of environment. So we created a huddle here. Blake and I made a huddle, and it's actually still going. It has like 250 members in San Antonio. We no longer lead it because we found out that once you have kids, life gets really crazy, and it's hard to manage all of that. So, but through that process, I met someone named Sierra. She is a big FCA person in the Austin area, and Blake and I went up there to Austin, and we met her and her family, her husband. They were pregnant and expecting their first child also. We met her mom and dad, and super incredible people. And she was a pro triathlete, and it was just really cool. Well, then you go, I don't know, 7 years later. Okay, so I've had kids, and I started I gotta get to the gym and get to doing stuff, and started going to a body pump class, and I was like, hey, this is a lot of fun. And they go, hey, we need instructors, you should get certified. So I got certified in body pump, and I loved teaching body pump. Body pump was awesome, and it made such great muscles for me. And I'm looking back at it now, it's like God put that there. He knew that I needed that. He knew that I needed that really solid foundation of muscles that worked really well together, and body pump gave me that. And then I created this race with the help of our pastor at our church. It's called the Run, Feed, Love 5K, and I did it for 6 years. This would be the first year that I didn't do it. Anyway, different story. But I saw so much on the other side of what races do, and how they get put on, and how much work it is, and it made me be very humble to what happens when I go to a race. So teaching body pump at the Y, and I see all these triathletes there, and I'm like, hey, I should get back into that. Well, there was a couple in particular that really stood out to me, and one that was like, you need to come do a try with me. And it was Sarah, and she was she had just finished doing Cozumel, and it was this big thing, and I was like, I want to know her more. I've got to know her more. I got to know, I want to do that. That's, I don't know, there was this fire inside of me that's saying, I gotta go, I gotta do this. so I got to know her more, and I was like, I can do a triathlon. Let's go do an Olympic one. So I did my first Olympic one again here in Texas, and I was like, hey, I was pretty good at that. Like, my times are pretty decent. Maybe if I, worked harder or something, I could really do well. Then I got the thing that told me that I qualified for nationals, to go for Team USA for nationals, and I was like, that's kind of cool. What does that entail? I don't know. Let's look into that a little bit. So I was like, that's really cool. Maybe I should get a coach. Like, I don't know. What do I need to do to go pro? Like, how? Wow. Like, all these little thoughts just like came into my head, and I know it was God, like just planting them, right? Like, just being like, I'm gonna work through this, and I'm gonna be right there. So I was like, who do I know that's pro? Oh yeah, my friend Sierra. Like, she's in Austin, she's a pro. It's different, because I hadn't talked to her in like 7 years. So I was just like texting her. I'm like, hey, I did a try and I was pretty good at it. And I don't know what I would need to do to like go pro, but like, I kind of feel like maybe that's my calling. And she said, I coach people. And I said, no, I didn't know that actually. And that's awesome. I was like, would you be interested in coaching me? And so that's how it got started. And so you think back on like that little moment of 7 years prior, like God made that connection. God put that person in my life, and he had a plan for it, and it took 7 years to get there. But she's my coach, and she is an incredible person, and not only like a physical coach for triathlon. She helps me with nutrition, but she also tells me that her biggest thing is to make me grow as a Christian too. She prays with me before every race, if it's on the phone or in person or whatever. It's just such a beautiful relationship, and God did that. He put his hand in there. So yeah, I got connected with her. She started coaching me. I said, I would kind of like to go to nationals. So the whole goal, that's my other one. The whole goal was to go to nationals and, I don't know, see if I could maybe make it for worlds. So we trained really hard. The first year, it was a lot of trying to, so this is in 2017. No, I'm sorry, 2018. So the beginning of 2018, please stop. Thank you. The beginning of 2018, we started training. She started putting workouts in for me, and I started really, really focusing really hard on it and trying to see where I could go with it. And then come around to August of 2018, I went to nationals in Cleveland. We drove the motorhome up there, and Blake also, he wanted to be in on a lot of this. I should say also, sorry, that we were doing we had got on the schedule and everything to do Ironman Arizona in 2018. Okay, can you please? Thank you.
I really want to tell you something.
And so I told my coach, I said, okay, I'm going to do the Olympic distance in August at nationals, and then I'm going to do a half Ironman in September, and then I'm going to do a full Ironman in November. And so that was like a big thing, right? So, okay. So we're here, we're at nationals. Blake registered for Ironman Arizona also. He was doing the half with me in September, and he went ahead and registered to do the sprint distance for nationals in Cleveland. So we both raced. It was really good because it was on opposite days. I raced on Saturday, he raced on Sunday, and so we tag teamed with the kids. Our children are at most every single event that we do because they're our lives. It's part of who we are. It's part of everything. So we go to nationals, and the first day is my day. And so I race, and I come in 5th. Out of all the girls, and I had to be at least top 18 to go to Worlds. So I made my spot for Worlds, which is really awesome. Then the very next day, Blake races. Well, to know Blake is a very great biker and a really good runner. But swim was not his game at all. He was very nervous about the swim. Well, the current was too much, and the Coast Guard would not let them swim on the day that he swam. Hello, God again. Like, just an amazing thing, right? And then, so he did a run bike run, and he had to be top 8 to get it. He came in 10th place, but when we went to the roll down ceremony, the people, depending on who aged up into another age group, and if somebody aged into his age group, 2 people aged out of his and nobody aged up. So he got that 8th spot. And so he got to go to Worlds also for Team USA. And we just did that this past August. It was awesome. So we did nationals. Then we came home, we changed our gearing up for Arizona. And then we did a half Ironman, and it went really well. And I was like, hey, this is pretty fun. And I did, really didn't know what to expect, right? Like, it was my first one in Kerrville. It was under 5 hours. It was like 4:50 something. And people were like, holy cow, that's awesome. I'm like, okay, cool. Then I did Waco, and my coach was like, no pressure, but you know, if you come in 3rd overall out of amateurs, you can be a pro like that. You could get your card. It was interesting, right? Like, kind of going into the race, like having that in the back of my head. Well, Waco, we didn't get a swim. We had to do just a bike and a run. They don't do a run before. So we did just a bike and a run. And it was really interesting. Blake was telling me where I was at as I was going, and he would tell me, he told me when I got off the bike to go to the run, he's like, you're in 4th place, you're in 4th place. And I really thought in my head, I'm in 4th place overall, 4th place in my age group. Oh, well, great. Like, you're not even anywhere close to being able to do that pro card, right? Because this is not where you're at. Sorry about the outside noise. Okay. So I'm in the race, and it hurts because they all hurt, and they're gonna hurt, but you can get past that. That's okay. And I finished the race, and Blake runs up to me. He's like, oh my gosh, you finished 4th. And I was like, well, there was like 120 in my age group, so that's good, I guess. And he goes, you finished 4th overall. Over all the amateurs, you came in 4th. And I just started busting out crying because I felt like God was saying, in that moment to me, I could just feel his presence, and he was saying to me, well done, my child. You did great. And yes, you are there. Yes, you are where you could be to get that pro card, but I'm not ready for you to be there yet. We still got some work to do. So just know that you're good enough and that you're there, but you're not going to be there yet. Like, just be patient and wait. So, got past that. Went to Arizona. Had an amazing time in Arizona. It was beautiful. It was perfect. And I learned so much. I walked a lot of that marathon, like through all the water stations. Swim went really good. Bike went really good. So many places to improve. But my coach had me so ready. She had me ready nutrition-wise. She had me ready mentally. She had me ready physically, which is so key. And then, so I finished Arizona in 10 hours and 43 minutes. No, sorry. 10 hours and 34 minutes. My marathon was 3 hours and 43 minutes. Numbers, right? Like, everybody's like numbers. So my first ever Ironman was 10 hours and 34 minutes. Secretly, I had a goal of 10 and a half hours, so I only missed it by 4 minutes, so that's like amazing. I was 5th in my age group, and I was 13th overall amateurs, and I was like, hey, I really like this. Like, this feels like my purpose. I've searched a long time for this. This feels like my purpose. And so it was okay. That year was done, and take a break. And then what are we training for the next year? And the next year was all about Worlds. We went to Worlds this past August, and did really well. I'm not happy with it, but that's just me because I expected more of myself. But when you take everything into account, we had our boys with us. We were tourists for 9 days before the race. Different food, different sleeping, different atmosphere, different everything. 12th in my age group was great, so I should be very happy with that. Blake did really well too. He survived it all and he had fun, and he didn't crash on the bike when I really thought he might, trying to take a corner too sharp. And we just really enjoyed that experience. Then after Worlds, it was half Ironman in Waco, and the big focus there was trying to get that pro card. I had to be third overall to get it, and I was third. I had a really great swim, and my bike was phenomenal. And then the run, I needed a little bit more of my UCAN product in my bike, and it's all a learning process. But the run had me, 2 girls caught me on the run. So I missed out, I think it was like 3 minutes and 10 seconds was what first place had me by. But it doesn't matter. I got my 3rd spot, so that's all that matters. So yeah, it's amazing. You have to listen to your body. You have to know the nutrition. You need to have a really good coach. I have an amazing coach that I jive with so well, and she's never to leave me ever. Yeah, that's kind of just the journey that I've been on. God has such a great plan, and I'm so excited to see where it's gonna go. The other thing that I added to this was I got my coaching certificate, and I'm helping coach a triathlon youth team, which is awesome, and I'm so excited about that. To see where those kids, they are so fast. I try to train with them some, and it's awesome. But to see where they're gonna go in life and how far they've gone already, no words. It's just awesome to be a part of that. So I'm excited to see what else God has planned for me. Coming up, I have Tulsa, full Ironman at the end of May. I'm really hoping that I can get my Kona spot with that one, and then go to Kona, and as soon as Kona's over, take my pro card. You have a year to take it. So that's kind of the game plan. I don't know. What else does God have for me? I don't know. I'm so excited though. I feel it. Like I just really feel that He's got such a great plan, and this is just the beginning, and it's all gone into place, and I've had to be patient, and I've had to wait, but it's so worth it, and I give all the glory and honor to God because He's so amazing. He made me, and He gave me these talents, and yes, I have to work hard. I have to, but that's my part of the bargain. That's my part of the deal. So, sorry. Just very emotional about it. It's all about God. It's all about Him. Without Him, I am nothing. I can't even imagine doing a race without Him. Like, no, it would never happen. I will forever and always race with FCA Endurance on my jersey because He is my #1 supporter. He is my #1 sponsor. He's everything. So, my family, my husband, they all support me. They do it with me. The boys done their first triathlon last summer, which is awesome. They're part of the team. But yeah, it's everything. You know, God puts people in my life. He has put these specific people that have done exactly what He needed for them to do, so that I could be where I am. And no words can ever express how grateful I am. I love that feeling of when I'm done with a race and He just comes over me, the Holy Spirit comes over me, and He says, "Well done, child. You've done well." I race with a lot of scriptures written on my bike because I always need to be reminded, right? Like we all do. We're all human, and I need to be reminded that He's with me and He's the reason that I get to do this. It's not my own. Yeah, I put in a lot of hard work, but without Him, I'm nothing. So I hope you found this inspirational. I'm here. I'm open if you have questions. I'd love to talk to you about it, but nothing super special. I didn't do anything in college. So I wasn't an athlete. I wasn't, I was just your regular Joe. I feel like anybody can do it. I do have the luxury of having a lot of time. My husband works very hard, and so I stay at home with our boys, and so I have a lot of time to train. Aside from that, though, I'm just your average Joe that is very stubborn, and if you tell me to do something or that I can't do it, I'm going to prove you wrong. So God gave me that feature, and He's using it for my advantage. So hope you've enjoyed it. Take care. Blessings.